Hey everybody, my name is Simply D, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of In the Blind, or as I like to call it, My Life in the Blind, because as we know, everybody's experience is a little bit different, and this is kind of my blind perspective. Cut short, dry, that's what it is. My blind perspective. Anyway, it's been a while since I've uploaded to this channel, and there's a reason for that, but I figured we could talk about that, and we could talk about a few other things that are going to be happening with the overall Simply D intermix world in general. Okay, for those of you who are new to the channel, like I said at the beginning, my name is Simply D, and I am a multimedia personality. I host different things. I have been known to do a wide range of things. So stick around on the channel. You'll learn more about me and my adventures. And this year, I'm looking forward to actually introducing you guys to more of my family. See, one thing I've recognized that happens in the YouTube space is that a lot of the important details are left out. And I wanted to work to rectify that, which is why I've actually been away for a while from the channel. I've been trying to figure out and talking to different people about how do I introduce my family to the space without intruding upon my family's privacy, but at the same time giving you a real day in the life perspective of a visually impaired person and how they interact with their own family as well as the community at large. See, there are many, and it's growing every day. Visually impaired people who are on YouTube, and I am a fan of many of them. But some of the most notable ones are like Molly Burke, who actually just moved out to California where I'm at, and but she's from Canada. And then you got oh, how did I forget his name? I've been watching him for a while now, though. But basically, we have a lot of young, blind, and visually impaired people in the YouTube community. And I think that's great because when you get people who have a visual issue into a visual space, then it basically knocks out all the things people said was not possible. And what I like even more about that is it's transitioning the stereotypical you're blind so you must be going to do music because you have great ears type of stereotype. It's not a negative thing, but at times it can be kind of limiting, if that makes any sense to you. Basically, my role models growing up in the blind community were Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. And that's not to say that's a bad thing, but those were the only examples of what could be accomplished as a visually impaired person that was talked about on a regular basis. Yes, blind people have accomplished more things. There's, Holman, who actually, James Holman, who actually circumnavigated the globe and, just did a lot of things. And there are a lot of blind people who've accomplished a lot of things. By the way, if I get any of these accomplishments wrong, don't attack me in the comments, but don't be afraid to leave a comment either. Okay? And if you like what you're hearing so far, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Show me that you are interested in what we're talking about, but we're going to keep going anyway. So the thing is that after sitting down talking to my wife, who you guys, some of you know, some of you are going to get to know over the next couple of weeks, months, years, it's apparent that there are questions that people don't necessarily know how to answer, and they're the everyday questions. It's not the, how do you use a touchscreen phone question, even though that is a big question that I get kind of often. But how do you use a touchscreen phone when your eyesight is so limited, or how do you use a computer when your eyesight's so limited, and things of that nature. And those are fine. Those are great questions. But recently, I've been getting different kinds of questions, like when your wife is sick or your kids are sick and you're the only one there that can help them, get better. What is your procedure? What is your protocol? How do you, what if they have to go to the hospital all of a sudden? Do you call 911 because that's your only option? Do you wait for a friend to pick you up? How do you make this happen? And we realized then that there are a lot of unanswered questions from the perspective of a visually impaired person who is also a husband, who is also a father. And when I say welcome to In the Blind, that's exactly what I mean is this is my blind life. This is my blind perspective or visually impaired perspective. And for those of you who don't know, what this also means is I am partially sighted. I'm blind in my right eye, have some limited vision in my left eye, but that's not guaranteed. What that means is some days I can see and I'm good, but not well enough to drive a car, but well enough not to crash into walls everywhere I go. But on the flip side of that, there are days and there are times during the day when I lose my eyesight completely and I'm totally blind and can't function like I would with the eye, which means I can still function. I'm high functioning, all that kind of stuff, but I have to do things a little differently. So there are times when I'm in the sighted world doing it the sighted way. There are times when I'm in the blind world doing it the blind way, but all those things add up to my way. Okay, and that's why I also say that everybody's experience is a little bit different, because although you can be classified as blind or classified as visually impaired, very few people are actually 100% totally blind. But because people don't necessarily understand the difference, it gets really hard to separate it in the public eye, so to speak. So anyway, that's kind of what this channel is going to evolve into. You're going to kind of go on some adventures with me, go on adventures with me and my family. I'm a cane user and a seeing eye dog user, okay? So and then there are times when I don't need either, to be quite honest, okay? I can be walking around without my cane or without my seeing eye dog, but people who don't see the cane or don't see the seeing eye dog, but still I ask them for help with something because I have trouble seeing, and it's hard for them to register, well, if you have trouble seeing, why don't you have a cane or a seeing eye dog? So, so sometimes for the convenience of others, I will use my cane, especially when it's something that doesn't require that I need to do a lot, an excessive amount of mobility. I usually enjoy traveling with my seeing eye dog for that kind of stuff because it's a new area. She likes doing new areas. She likes the walk, keeps me as healthy as possible. But, or we're working on that. We're working on that. But yeah. So I kind of wanted to just take you guys on a little bit of a journey with me into my life, into my journey. We're going to talk about blind issues. We're going to talk about issues that affect more than the blind community, but affect us all. And I do a lot of talking. I used to run a talk show, y'all. So, if I just keep going, just pause the video, open another browser, come back to it. I'm not going to be offended. You know what I mean? But I just want you guys to really get an understanding of what's going to be happening. And yes, it's going to take a little time to structure it and make it work. But I do want to be able to bring you guys more successfully into my space and successfully into my experience as a blind professional. Because yes, I do run a business, and yes, I do hang out with my kids and do fun stuff with my kids, and yes, my wife and I are more in love today than the day we got married. And these are things that can only be described as an incredible life, an incredible experience, but I have to go about it in slightly different ways to accomplish everything I set my mind to. So I just want to give you guys a little breakdown of what's going to be happening there. Now, also, some of you guys have been with me for a while, and you know that I was the co-owner of a company called Intermix, and now I am the sole owner, the only one. I am the head honcho, whatever name you want to put on it. I am that guy, which means that I've also been away for a while because I've had to do a lot of restructuring and a lot of reimagining and bringing a new vision to this incredible company. And I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about where we're headed, and it's kind of really a lot because of what we've been able to accomplish, not only with this channel. I know the numbers don't seem all that impressive, but I can tell you that we've hit an area, we've hit a reach where now I can talk to certain companies and get a little better perspective, because my goal here is not to necessarily just say, hey, I'm a blind guy, look at me, but my goal is to kind of bridge the gap between the sighted and the blind world. I'm not always just talking about accessibility, but yes, that's an important thing. But some of the things that other blind people can talk about, I can't, because they're way more familiar with those problems or those situations or those things. But I do approach things from my perspective, from a partially sighted perspective, or from the perspective of somebody who spends half their time blind, half their time sighted. Okay, so when I talk about technology, or when I talk about, working in the video production world, or when I talk about being an entertainer, or when I talk about being a family man, a father, having a guide dog, these are my perspectives, but I've learned a lot in how some of the tips and tricks that I've learned on how to accomplish things. We're taught a certain way when we're going to all blind schools on how to get certain things done. But there are so many other ways to do those things, and I found a lot of people who like to know what's the other way. Because we were taught one way, maybe two ideas on how to accomplish a thing. And there are so many other ways. I'm looking forward to learning about some of the new blind technologies. There are things that I've never seen until I started watching YouTube videos that exist in the blind community. Because once you get to a certain age, people stop telling you about the things that can actually help you accomplish your task in a more efficient way. Okay? So unless you're deep into your community, whether it's the blind community, this, or maybe you like singing and you didn't know that this, something was available to help you work on your tonation and all that kind of stuff. You have to be part of the community, but most of us are so busy trying to create and move forward in other things. It's hard to stay rooted in a particular community. That's why I like YouTube, because YouTube allows you to feel connected in a way and ask certain questions and get those answers, even if you don't technically have the ability to reach out and talk to somebody. I want to be the person who helps you bridge that gap between what sighted technologies can I use as a blind person that's going to improve my situation. Also, and this is something that I've really been diving into lately, is so for those of you who don't know, blind technology, a lot of things that are for the blind, that are marketed to the blind, they're very expensive. And out of the workforce, out of all the blind people, there's only a small percentage of blind people that actually have, that actually earn an income outside of some kind of assistance program or things of that nature, right? And that's not a knock against the blind culture, because, to be quite honest, it's hard to train people who can't see certain things to do certain things. It's not impossible, but that's not necessarily what's fed to us, especially, people who are older than me. This is not what we were fed, which means that you had to break through and conquer and, then break through, then conquer, then break through, then conquer. Like, one of my first jobs ever was as a director of photography for a shoot involving the Jackson family. Okay. But I was the first person they had ever met that was visually impaired, in charge of shooting this production. But I got that opportunity because I saw something I wanted to do, and I had to create a way to conquer it, which means I had to use an old version, something that was given to almost every blind child, which is a monocular, who had some vision so they could see further distance. So the binoculars got one eye, so it's monocular, just a little something there. And I started using that to shape my shots. So then after I could shape my shots there, it was easy for me to shape my shots through a viewfinder. So after a while, my mentor started realizing everything you do is kind of through a camera lens. Why don't we teach you how to do this? And then the things that you will not be able to see through that lens, we will create a way for you to still be able to do. Or that's why you have a team. That team can help you because you're better at these things than them, but they can see the little details that you can't. Like back then, I couldn't see focus and the technology wasn't there. So you were always pulling focus. You were always focusing things on your own. Now I know enough technology-wise where even though my eye can't tell me that the screen is focused, the technology that I'm using will always let me know that I'm focused. You see what I'm saying? But as blind kids, we weren't told, keep looking, keep searching for this technology that's going to give you the eyes that you don't have. So anyway, I know I went on a rant there, but let me get back to it. So my goal is to be that bridge to show you how to use certain technologies, because the technologies that are marketed to the blind are often very expensive, and because this a very small demographic. When you think about the overall numbers of when you're building something, marketing something, you're only marketing to a very small group, but that small group has to cover the cost of what it costs to develop and market and create, and develop this thing, to create this thing, to manufacture this thing. So, of course, the cost is going to be high. But one thing I have learned is that these same technologies exist in other devices that are not marketed to the blind. And they're way cheaper. I mean, when I say way, I'm talking like night and day, because it's not marketed to our community in a way that's going to teach us how to use it for our own benefit. But that's kind of what I do anyway. I kind of go out, look for something that I think will work, and then I run it into the ground until I say, okay, this is how many ways this thing can be used. This is how it can be used. All that kind of stuff. My main way of getting things done right now is my cell phone. That's what I'm shooting on right now, even though I have other cameras, I have other, things that I could be using, but I'm always looking to solve a problem. So, and I found that my cell phone is one of the best and quickest ways for me to solve the problem, because not only am I looking to solve a problem, but how do I solve it efficiently? How can I use if I want to shoot a video, how do I shoot a video off the top without having to worry about, okay, set this up, get the lighting, blah, blah. I use my cell phone. Now, yes, do I have a big light? aiming on me, because y'all know I'm dark. So if I didn't have this light on me, y'all wouldn't probably see me, okay? But but the thing is, this is a sit-down situation. This is where everything is kind of nice and staged or whatever. But when I'm out and I want to vlog, or I want to tell you guys a story, I want to just post up somewhere and talk to you guys, I want to be able to do that without a hindrance. I want to be able to do that without having to do too much that takes me out of the moment. And that's what I'm working on putting together, the ultimate vlogging setup and situation for somebody who's visually impaired, walking with a cane, or even walking with a guide dog. And that one is the one that I'm really, really working on, because I want it to be something that is not going to interfere with how I travel with my guide dog, but still gives me the ability to talk to you guys and then still stay safe and all that kind of stuff. So if you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, you just go D Simply D. That's DSIMPLYD. Okay. Anyway, I've been talking about these things every once in a while, about when I do my stories on what I use, how I use it. I may not use it in the way it was designed, but I use it in a way that keeps me safe and keeps me forward moving. So that's kind of what this channel is about. That's kind of what I'm looking to do. And if you're a fan of that, if you want to support that, if you want to be involved in that, then first and foremost, subscribe to this channel. Second, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment on the question. Leave comments below about what you want to know, how, it doesn't matter how far out there the question is, because believe me, I've heard a lot of them, and I'm always curious to learn more about that. Okay, because I've heard a wide range of questions, and on this channel we have the space and the ability to answer those questions. And if those questions are things that concern more of an adult nature, then we will find another way to talk about those things so that the kids can still watch, learn, and grow on this channel. Because I don't believe that there are bad questions. I just think that there are questions that need to be answered in the right environment and at the right time. So, other than that, I'm Simply D. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye for now.